If you're a man over 30 with too much belly fat, man boobs, you've got low energy, low confidence and skinny arms, and you want to make a lifestyle change, this is the episode for you. In it, I'm going to break down, first of all, why most diets fail, and secondly, the 5 pillars of the best diet for men over 30 I have found having coached over 800 clients. If you're new to the channel or the podcast, my name is Adrian McDonald. I'm a full-time online health and fitness coach. We help corporate professionals, executives, CEOs lose body fat and then actually make a lifestyle change they can sustain long term. Please make sure you follow my Instagram, Adrian_MacLifestyleFitness. Make sure you follow my podcast, The Lifestyle Lifter Show. And if you're watching on YouTube, please make sure you subscribe. Okay, to start out, 4 reasons why you're not able to drop body fat. Number 1, your diet is unsustainable. I spoke to a guy yesterday and his dieting approach was as follows. He would eat for one day, fast for one day, eat for one day, fast for one day. He tried that for like 6 to 9 months. Over those 6 to 9 months, he lost maybe 20 to 25 pounds, which, look, it's a decent amount of weight, maybe 10 kilos or so. But the problem was, once he stopped the fasting approach, guess what happened? He regained the weight over time. And this is why if you cannot follow something for a decade, do not try follow it for a day. And now more than ever, I see so many men over 30 confused. They see carnivore diets, see keto diets. A lot of people are hopping on the fad of intermittent fasting and so on. What they do not realize is if these are unsustainable methods, they're going to yield unsustainable results. And this brings on to point number 2, and that is you've got no routine and structure with your nutrition. This starts with a number of different things. First of all, your food environment. If a food is in your house, sooner or later it's going to be eaten. So if you want to eat healthier, make it as difficult as possible to eat convenient foods, okay? If you know you're going to binge in the biscuits, why would you put them in the press? Get them out of the house, out of sight, out of mind. But number 2 is that you're reactive rather than proactive with your nutrition. So for example, you don't even know what you're going to eat the following day. So you get up, you grab a coffee in the morning. You don't know what you're going to have for lunch, so you get a chicken fillet roll or something from the deli. You get home in the evening, you're starving, you eat a big dinner and you binge eat at night. And you're wondering why your tummy is soft and you got too much belly fat. If you just plan tomorrow today, forward thinking, backwards planning, that would help a lot. And speaking of helping a lot of the men we coach, they are overfed but undernourished. Respectfully, some people in their 50s are still eating like a 10-year-old child. And I get it. The longer that you're eating this way, the longer you're eating more processed foods, the harder it becomes to change your habits and change your routine. Because if you're over the age of 30, okay, you've been eating this way for the last 30 years of your life. So it can be quite difficult to make that change all at once. However, with all that being said, a lot of people are having cereal for breakfast, okay, having Cheerios, having Shreddies, having Cocoa Pops. And then no wonder you're relying on caffeine, you're relying on stimulants to keep you going because you're starting your day off eating a child's breakfast. Eat like an adult, eat more nutrient-dense foods, we'll go on in a moment. And I promise you, the hunger cravings, the belly fat, all of these things will start to reduce. And finally, one of the most common reasons is you've got no flexibility with your diet, okay? You're consuming content online from people who are pro bodybuilders. You're consuming content from people who are not in your shoes, who don't have a family, who don't have a busy career, and this is their full-time gig. So you're trying to model what a bodybuilder is doing when it's essentially that's his full-time job to eat 6 meals a day, to have all his meals prepped for him. Okay, you need to find an approach that works for you and for your lifestyle, for your family, for your business, for your work. And that's why be careful who you take advice of. So what we have found having coached over 800 clients to date these are 5 key pillars of the best diet for men over 30. Number 1 is that you find a meal structure that works for you. Okay, so for some people that's going to be 3 meals a day, some people it's going to be 4, some people it's going to be 5. But I'd say the average for a client is 3 to 4. Now, how you'd actually structure that out, okay? Just like with your work schedule, you should know your meal schedule too. Our bodies crave familiarity. So what I would say is whatever time you go to bed, subtract 3 hours from that. For example, you're in bed at 10, okay? Have your final meal at 7 o'clock. From there, reverse engineer it, okay? Roughly 3 to 5 hours between every meal. So 7 o'clock, it could be dinner. 2 o'clock, it could be lunch. Then maybe 8 a.m, it could be breakfast. And then in between that, what we have found works well is having a high protein snack. So for example, a very simple day could look like this, okay? In the morning, you get up, you have your overnight oats. That's going to be at 7 a.m. You've got a high protein yogurt and some fruit and a coffee at 10 a.m. Okay, 1 o'clock, you have your lunch. That's going to be a chicken or a sea bass salad with some vegetables and some potatoes. Okay, 4 o'clock on your commute home to work, let's have something like a protein shake or something just to tie you over to fill a bit of a gap. You might train after work, and in the evening time, you've got your dinner with your family, okay? You've got your meat, your veg, your potatoes, and so on. And if you're feeling a little peckish, you can have some healthier snacks like dark chocolate, Greek yogurt, okay? But if you have a routine and structure, you know exactly what foods you're going to eat one day in advance and at what time you're going to eat them. it's very, very difficult to fail. And I'll use one of our clients as an example, okay? He joined us in the first 4 weeks and he lost quite a lot of weight. And on our month one check-in call, I asked him, what would you say contributed to that? And he said, you told me to log your food 1 day in advance. So we always say to our clients, never go to bed without knowing what you're going to eat the following day. That is not the same as having all your meals prepped. But if you know you're a business professional, okay, in the morning time, I got a busy period of work, so I might have a shake on the road. Okay, I can have a piece of fruit to tie me over in between my meals. I'm going to have some coffee as well. Now for lunchtime, I'm going to go to this healthy cafe. They've got a good omelette there, or a good chicken salad I can get. And then dinner time, your wife is going to cook that. Once you know at least 1 day in advance, it takes the guesswork and the decision making out of it, and it makes it much, much easier to sustain. Now, pillar number 2 for Metabolic Prime 1 diet is having mostly single ingredient whole foods. So when I was growing up, I used to consume a lot of content on YouTube from YouTubers. And I remember one guy, he was absolutely shredded, okay, 6-pack abs, and he showed what a full day in the life eating looked like for him. And he was just having like Cheerios, lots and lots of cereal, lots and lots of chocolate. I'm like, how does IIFIM work? That means if it fits your macros. And it just for me, it felt like it was too good to be true. But then I was like, look, if you see content that online, it's probably unlikely that's the only thing that got that person in shape. And then when I started studying more, okay, taking more courses, doing the precision nutrition course, consuming content from people who are educated, not just trying to get views, that's when I realized that, look, what do most diets have in common? Whether it's paleo, whether it's ketogenic, whether it's the carnivore diet, or even whether it's Mediterranean diet, they consume mostly single ingredient whole foods. An analogy I like to use is, if you're watching this video, I bet you have never eaten 4 apples in a row. But I bet if you're like me, you've eaten 4 slices of pizza or 4 slices of buttered bread in a row. Now, when you think about it, why have you not been able to eat 4 apples in a row compared to something like bread or pizza, even though bread and pizza has more calories? It is because single ingredient whole food is more satiating, it is more filling. And that's why one of the first things we do with our clients who want to lose body fat is we just simply change the foods that they eat, okay? Can you swap out your Cheerios with some overnight oats, okay? Can you swap out this high sugar beverage with even something like a Coke Zero? And if you gradually change the foods you eat, I know Coke Zero isn't a single ingredient food, but you know what I mean, okay? You will look, feel and perform better over time. This brings on to pillar number 3, and that is having a high protein diet. So we recommend our clients have 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. Now, I created a reel and it went absolutely viral. It got like over 500k views, and the hook that I used was, please do not tell me this is what your breakfast looks like. And what I showed was just 2 eggs and 2 slices of toast, which is very, very common for people. Now, you might be wondering, okay, 2 eggs and 2 slices of toast, that seems pretty healthy, okay? 2 eggs have got 6 grams of protein. Maybe 2 slices of toast, you might have another 4 or 5 grams. For most people watching this, you need to get at least 2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight in general. So let's just say that you're 80 kilograms, okay? And you need to get 160 grams of protein per day. If you only have like something like 16 to 20 grams at breakfast, you're going to leave yourself playing catch up for the rest of the day. And that's why you need to have a high protein breakfast. So what I encouraged there was, one of our members found it very helpful, okay, have about 2 whole eggs and about 5 egg whites. This will increase your protein intake at breakfast from 18 to 19 grams all the way up to 40 grams. And if you can have 40 grams of protein per meal at least 3 times a day and make up the remainder with snacks, okay, it's a surefire way to hit your protein target. And just to actually top that off as well, okay, one of the easiest ways to get 100 grams of protein is have 400 grams of lean meat. So for example, if you had 200 grams of chicken at lunch and 200 grams of white fish for dinner time, okay, that is 100 grams already. Then if you want to make up the rest through egg whites, through Greek yogurt, through protein powders, it's a very, very simple way to hit your protein target. For me personally, I eat over 200 grams of protein and it's not a chore at all, okay? I just know how to calculate my macros, how to make it fit and how to make it work for me. You need to make sure you're getting enough protein. That comes with consuming foods that have a good calorie to protein ratio, okay? And having a plan and routine and structure in place. Now, speaking of routine and structure, one thing people are very confused about is pillar number 4, that is carbohydrates, okay? There's so much content online that, do carbohydrates make you fat? Look, there's no such thing as a compulsory carbohydrate. I mean, you can technically survive without consuming carbohydrates. However, if you want to thrive, if you want to enjoy life, in my opinion, life without carbohydrates, it's not fun, it's not sustainable. But there is a catch. There is a reason why you're able to eat a lot of mashed potato with a lot of butter, but you're not able to eat a lot of boiled potatoes. It's because when you have too many carbohydrates mixed with fats, it's a recipe for overeating. So personally, what we use with our clients is our high-low carb cycling method. So what we will do is on training days, if you're going to the gym, you're getting a run in, okay, and you're exerting yourself hard, will have a higher carbohydrate day, simply because what do carbohydrates do? They give the body energy. But if you're having a rest day, or maybe you're just going for a walk, getting your 10k steps in, you probably don't need as many carbohydrates. So we might limit that to one meal a day. But when you cycle your carbohydrates based on activity and have them around your workout, okay, you will perform better, you will use the carbohydrates better, and it will also improve your insulin sensitivity. So personally for me, having trained fasted for years, I now perform much better when I train fed. So what I would personally do is I'll have a big carbohydrate meal beforehand, that's usually cream or rice, and a big carbohydrate meal after my workout, that's usually something like protein oats. Now for some of our corporate clients, if they have to train fasted first thing in the morning, what I'll tell them to do is eat a higher carb meal the night before, and that will tie you over for the following morning's workout. And pillar number 5 is that progress beats perfection, okay? So I tried the 75 hard challenge before, which for anyone who doesn't know, it's basically you must follow a diet with no cheat meals. And I followed it for 42 days, and I forgot to do one of the tasks, which was to take a progress picture. And when I didn't do that, okay, I was so pissed off with myself. But guess what I also did? Because I was so restricted with my diet for the last 6 weeks, I binge ate. Okay, all the foods that I eliminated, that I cut out, like chocolate and so on, I just started eating loads of. And it's such a terrible feeling. I absolutely hate the way it makes me feel if I ever binge eat. But often for me, binge eating is a result of restriction and just being too strict to my diet, okay? So if you can find an approach that you can sustain and adhere to long term, what we often find works well for our clients is the 90-10 rule. 90% of your foods from single ingredient whole foods, 10% flexibility. So for example, one of our clients, David, he was in Spain last summer and he was going to join the program in summertime, but he asked me then, could I just wait for the perfect time when he's back into a routine? But I told him, it's like, look, you plan on socializing, you plan on going on holidays for the rest of your life, you plan on eating out at restaurants for the rest of your life. So you have to find a way to actually make this work for you and incorporate some of these events into your life. So as a result of this, we come up with our strategy, or easy to eat out guide. And he managed to lose body fat while enjoying his birthday, while actually having a bit of fun and without restricting himself. And when you can make that progress, I promise you, it's not just the physical benefits, but the mental benefits also too, that you know that you can literally do this anywhere, anytime, any place, during any event, and still make progress. And that's why, above all else, I think one of the biggest reasons people fail, especially with their diet, is they think they need to be perfect. They think they need to cut out everything, and that is just not true, okay? You can still get in amazing shape while eating some of your favorite foods. And that's why I like flexible dieting with routine and structure and professional guidance. If you just follow it online and you're looking at all these people eating Cocoa Pops, it's probably not going to work for you. But if you understand that no foods are out of boundaries, but it doesn't mean boundaries do not exist, you can actually incorporate social events, meals out, nights out, and so on, and still get in shape. Okay, so that is all for this week's video. Just to recap, the best diet for men over 30 that we have found is number 1, it actually fits with your routine and structure. You know exactly how many meals you're having a day. Number 2, you eat mostly single ingredient whole foods. Number 3, have a high protein diet, 2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. Number 4, high low carb method, okay, cycle your carbohydrates based on activity. And number 5, remember, you don't need to be perfect to make progress. You just need to stay consistent. Now, if you need more help putting this all together, I'll post a link to my Metabolic Prime and Diet, okay, and you can actually download that for free. You just need to insert your name and your email. It'll be emailed straight to you. If you actually though want all the guesswork taken out of it for you, and you want implementation along with accountability and coaching, and you want to lose body fat sustainably, that's what we offer at Mac Lifestyle Fitness. So if you are interested in getting personal one-on-one coaching, whether you're an executive, a business owner, or a high performer, okay, I'll post a link in the bio below. You can just schedule a call at me or a member of my team. We can go through your goals, your challenges in more detail, and see if we might be able to help you. But that is all for this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, please subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Adrian_Mac Lifestyle Fitness, and we'll catch you in the next one.